Ja, herzlich willkommen, liebe Wood-Freunde, liebe UXD-Begeisterte. Ich darf Sie sehr, sehr herzlich einladen, heute zum 4. World Usability Day an der Technischen Hochschule Ingolstadt. Mein Name ist Andreas Riener. Ich bin Professor für Mensch-Maschine-Interaktion an der Technischen Hochschule Ingolstadt. Ich leite den Studiengang User Experience Design und auch eine interdisziplinäre Forschungsgruppe im Bereich Mensch-Computer Interaktion. Ich hätte Ihnen sehr gerne den World Usability Day auch in diesem Jahr in Präsenz ermöglicht. Wir kennen die aktuelle Situation. Im Nachhinein betrachtet bin ich jetzt sehr, sehr froh, dass wir schon frühzeitig entschieden haben, den World Usability Day einerseits virtuell anzubieten und andererseits aber nicht ganz ausfallen zu lassen. Das zeigt jetzt auch die doch sehr hohe Resonanz, die sehr gute Anmeldezahl, die gerade vorhin bei etwa 140 gelegen ist. Noch nicht alle haben es jetzt gefunden, haben den Weg schon in den Warteraum oder in das Meeting gefunden, aber ich denke, das wird dann in den nächsten Minuten noch etwas nach oben gehen. Ja, der World Usability Day für diejenigen unter Ihnen, die den schon mal besucht haben, sei es an der THI oder auch an anderen Locations, ist ja eine Veranstaltung, um Usability, um User Experience auch zu promoten. Es ist ein Aktionstag, der weltweit stattfindet, und zwar immer am zweiten Donnerstag im November. Wir hatten auch heuer wieder geplant, wie bereits in den letzten Jahren, neben diesen Vorträgen und Workshops, die wir auch virtuell anbieten können, auch eine Panel-Diskussion mit Experten Ihnen wiederum zur Verfügung zu stellen. Abschlussarbeiten und Ausstellungen von UXD-Projekten hätten das Programm ergänzt, genauso wie Laborführungen unserer einschlägigen Labors hier an der THI. Wir hätten Ihnen auch ganz gerne das Driving Experience Lab gezeigt, ein neues Labor, das uns ermöglicht, auch Fahrsimulator-Studien zu machen mit Leuten in der Gesellschaft, mit Leuten, die draußen sind, mit Personen vor Ort, indem wir mit unserem Simulator zu ihnen kommen und nicht die Probanden immer zu uns kommen müssen. Unternehmensstände sind natürlich auch eine wesentliche Komponente, auch um die Interaktion mit Studierenden, also um diese Academia-Industry-Achse auch zu befruchten, und das ist auch ein wesentlicher, essentieller Bestandteil gewesen der bisherigen Woods. Kann leider in diesem Jahr eben alles leider nicht stattfinden. Wir hoffen auf jeden Fall auf den nächsten Wood 2021, der dann auch wieder in Präsenz stattfinden kann. Um Ihnen einen kurzen Geschmack, zum einen eine Rückschau aus dem letzten Jahr für diejenigen, die da waren, zu bieten, nochmal eine kurze Reminder an die doch schönen Momente, die wir im letzten Jahr genossen haben, und auch einen Ausblick darauf zu geben, wie es im nächsten Jahr hoffentlich wieder sein kann, zeige ich Ihnen einen ganz kurzen Teaser oder ein Best-of-Video aus dem letzten Jahr. Ja, das war der World Usability Day 2019. In ähnlicher Form hoffen wir, dass auch 2021 wieder stattfinden kann. Und heuer müssen wir halt mit einer Digitalvariante Vorlieb nehmen. Aber ich glaube, auch das ist einmal eine ganz gute Möglichkeit, auch diese digitalen Transferformate auszuprobieren. Wir haben das ja auch in den letzten Monaten schon in verschiedensten Events, in verschiedensten Konferenzen und Vorträgen auch häufig genutzt. Es hat sich auch als ganz gutes Instrument herausgestellt, einfach auch um kurz mal reinzugehen, interessante Vorträge zu hören und dann auch wieder rauszugehen. Man muss nicht diesen Aufwand betreiben, anzureisen, einen ganzen Nachmittag vielleicht hier zu bleiben, wenn man nur an ein, zwei Vorträgen interessiert ist oder nur an diesem Workshop vielleicht. Und das ist schon ein wesentlicher Vorteil auch dieser digitalen Formate. Man kann wirklich gezielter konsumieren. Auf der anderen Seite wissen wir auch natürlich, dass es aufwendig ist, dass es anspruchsvoller, auch kognitiv ist, am Ball zu bleiben und auch wirklich diese Immersion zu genießen, die man sonst hätte bei einem Vortrag vor Ort oder bei einer Diskussionsrunde auch vor Ort. Aber es eröffnet auch Möglichkeiten und das wollten wir uns auch nicht entgehen lassen. Und deswegen haben wir auch, so wie in den letzten Jahren schon, frühzeitig begonnen, das Spiegel-Institut, die Frau Tescher und unsere Seite, die THI, Studiengang User Experience Design, uns darüber im Klaren zu sein, dass so ein World Usability Day auch virtuell Sinn macht und wir den auch sehr, sehr gerne anbieten möchten. Ein kurzer Überblick über das Programm, bevor es dann auch schon losgeht. Wir haben den heutigen Nachmittag jetzt im Prinzip in 3 Teile strukturiert. Wir beginnen mit einem Vortragsblock, das sind 2 Vorträge. Wir haben die natürlich auch angepasst an die Situation. Die Vorträge sind kürzer, als sie sonst in Präsenz immer gewesen sind, jeweils 10 Minuten lang. Wir spielen beide Vorträge zuerst ab und danach folgt eine gemeinsame Frage- und Antwortrunde für die beiden Vorträge. Dann kommt als mittlerer Block ein Workshop-Block, 2 parallele Workshops. Workshop 1 Design Sprint, The Creative Methods und Workshop 2 Human-Centered Explainable AI. Die Workshops finden dann parallel statt zwischen 16 und 17 Uhr. Es hatte dazu auch eine Voranmeldung gegeben, die uns auch etwas überrascht hat, dass so viele dann doch interessiert sind, auch an dem Workshop teilzunehmen. Wir teilen dann entsprechend in 2 Räume, das machen wir dann entsprechend später. Und dann im Anschluss nach den Workshops, nach dem Aktivieren der Teilnehmer, geht es dann wieder zurück in ein Relaxen, in einen Vortragsblock 2, wo wir wiederum 2 Vorträge haben. Ganz besonders freut es mich, dass wir hier auch Kollegen aus der University of Buenos Aires gewinnen konnten, hier einen Vortrag einzusteuern. Mit den Kollegen von der UBA sind wir gerade dabei, ein Double-Degree-Programm im UXD Master aufzusetzen. Ja, und danach folgt wiederum diese Fragerunde, Fragen und Antworten, und so dass wir dann etwa ab 17:35 Uhr, nach den Fragen dann wahrscheinlich 17:45 Uhr, mit dem offiziellen Teil zu Ende sind. Der Raum kann noch offen bleiben, ich kann dann auch alle freischalten für Mikrofone und Videos, damit Sie auch, wenn Sie möchten, noch gerne ein bisschen networken, aber der offizielle Teil wäre dann entsprechend auch aus. Gut, dann will ich auch gar nicht mehr viel länger um das Programm selber herumreden, sondern gleich in das Programm auch einsteigen. Wir haben hier 2 Vorträge in dem ersten Vortragsblock und nachdem ich auch durchaus zumindest einige Sprecher, aber auch einige im Publikum wahrgenommen habe, die, sage ich mal, der deutschen Sprache nicht so mächtig sind, würde ich zumindest die Möglichkeit nutzen wollen, die Vorträge und auch die entsprechenden Vortragenden, die Sprecher anzukündigen, und das würde ich gerne in englischer Sprache tun, damit es auch wirklich jeder dann entsprechend mitbekommt. Also the first talk that we hear this afternoon is entitled Human Behavior and Activity Recognition for UX Design. The talk will be given by Dr. Stavros Dassoudis. Stavros has recently submitted his 4-year Doctor of Philosophy dissertation in HCI. He explored the automotive domain limitations and designed a remote interactive system to support participatory UX activities in autonomous vehicles. We will hear more in his talk about his view on UX design. In the second talk, Humanizing AIs, Universal Emotion Library, Florian Gulden and Philipp Schwemberger will talk about their point of view on emotional or emotions and their relation to artificial intelligence. Florian is a founder of Icon In-Car. He loves cars, he loves mobility, he loves gaming and esports. He calls himself a digital petrol head. Formerly he worked at Audi Design, and then he founded Icon In-Car together with his friends from Icon Mobile. We will learn about Icon In-Car more in the beginning of their talk. And a second speaker is Philipp Schwemberger. He is a UX designer at Icon In-Car. He formerly studied architecture in Innsbruck and Berlin. He worked for 2 years as architect in Innsbruck and changed then his passion and gained experience in the realization of interactive installation at an UX study in Paris. In 2018, he joined Icon In-Car at the Munich branch, and he works there on automotive UX projects. Okay, so well, let's start the first 2 talks. Enjoy.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here with me for this 2020 World Usability Day talk. Today I will be talking about user experience resets and artificial intelligence for experiences. Now, in user experience resets are interested in understanding people's attitudes, how they change over time as well, common behaviors and how people think and associate certain things. Similar behaviors and needs can be put together in groups known as a user group. Depending on what you're working on, you're likely to have several different types of user groups. As you can see on my slides here, researchers are interested in a lot of the learned behavior we have and share cultural and societal understanding of how things work on both a macro and a micro level, which in this case macro is the society and micro is the families and the individuals. As you drill down, moving towards the micro level, smaller groups and user groups that have been segmented in the right way will have similar shared experiences and therefore understanding of how things work. They share the same understanding and because of the sharing of the same experiences. In traditional usability engineering, typically testers and developers get together in the early stage of test planning to create a list of tasks. Some example of these tasks you can see here. As you all may know, tasks can be simple as renting a car, cancel a car rental reservation, register on a car rental website, log into a car rental website, and many more. Almost without exception, testers present the task that participants do in the form of a task scenario. And the task scenario, as you can see here, as an example, can take the form of, for example, you have just bought a new combination telephone and answering machine. The box is on the table. Take the product out of the box and set it up so that you can make and receive calls. What the researchers are willing to identify is mostly errors, slow task times, statements of frustration, and finally assistance. Errors like especially picking the wrong icon on the toolbar. So task times like during which participants hesitate over each icon and frequently click through them looking for another way they want. Now, statements of frustration like participants express their feelings about not being able to learn how icons are organized, or also be able to guess what an icon will do from the tooltip name that we chose. Finally, finally, the need for assistance, typically the assistance from a third party like a moderator. As you can see here on my slides, this is very relevant with the work that we have been undertaking in highly automated vehicles. So previous work in conditionally automated driving highlights that the new paradigm really relieves the driver from the driving task, so manually controlling the vehicle and continuously monitoring the driving situation. As a result, driving time can be used for non-driving related tasks. In simple words, anything else than driving. The researchers are focusing on an effort to map the non-driving related tasks, and these are including reading, gaming, eating, watching a movie, or writing. These are now more important in shaping the driving experiences of the automated vehicle than initially driving was. Other researchers, as you can see here, they have been mapping the different activities that you can find people doing in a vehicle. However, they were mapping the expected driving activities, secondary activities. So, however, given the lack of not having a vehicle, they ran research in suburban trains and the subway, mostly observing and interviewing passengers of their perceived secondary tasks and activities while commuting. They asked for their expected behavior in highly automated vehicles, gathering expected activities including music, talk to the passengers, watch out of the window, texting, internet, eating, drinking, reading, sleeping, etc. User experience and designing for positive experiences is about the pleasure and the meaning we are looking for in all our tasks and activities and interactions. Again, it's about the pleasure and the meaning. For example, people using highly automated vehicles can be seeking the feeling of novelty, surprise, fascination, excitement, enrichment to fulfill their need for stimulation. Between this group of people, some of the most important or common activities are listening to music, playing video games, watching movies, using social media, or watching out of the window. Now, in activity recognition, we map the tasks around the specific activity. As you can see here on my slides, every one of that is a specific activity like grooming, housework, interior cleaning. And every activity has specific different tasks, like brushing the teeth, includes picking the toothbrush, etc., etc. Now, a positive experience can differ for each person. The tasks and activities for the relaxation experience, for example, are different for each person. Listening to music or silence the space, inviting friends or stay alone is really depending on the person. One person may experience relaxation listening to music and staying alone, and another person can experience relaxation again by using a silent space and inviting friends and spend time together. The influence of usability engineering here in this, in the way we are mapping the tasks and activities is obvious. And the new paradigm for AI and activity recognition should be an experience-led paradigm, in contrast to the previous task, subtask, and activity paradigm. An experience-based classification is missing in that case. UX-led activity recognition is not trying to identify common tasks or activities, but is trying to connect them with a subjective meaning for each person. What we propose in this talk is that we have to shift towards a paradigm where we are trying to elicit meaning and pleasure before tasks and activities. A classification around driven and around experiences more than tasks and activities, since we know that different tasks and different activities can lead to a specific experience for different people. Thank you very much. Thank you for the time. I am open for any questions you might have now. Thank you.
Hello everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Florian and together with my colleague Philip, I'm gonna guide you through this 12-minute presentation. Our topic of the day is how to humanize artificial intelligence and specifically their avatars. And we are creating this, what we call universal emotion library right now, that we see as a foundation for all of this. Before we actually dive deep into the topic, like a very brief introduction on us. So Icon Inkar, as you already might have guessed, is a specialist in automotive user experience design. We are roughly about 120 people globally in our offices with friends all around the world. We are focusing first of all on production HMI design, on show cars, but we also do quite a bit of prototyping and ecosystem development. And this really, all of this knowledge really is the foundation of the work we are going to talk about today. It's just a lot of street credibility we are bringing in here, and we figured out that talking about emotionalizing experiences is a big topic for us. You might ask why. I'll give you like a super brief introduction on that one. We created this very simple model for us, which we call 5 levels of experience. And it really starts with very simple interactions as we know them right now, where the systems are created for human beings, but we actually have to adjust to them. And the next level, what we call contextualization, level 2, would actually mean that the system starts to respond towards myself and my actual needs. It goes over personalization, hyper-personalization, and in the end, we are having what we call an AI, a system that really, really knows what we are up for and can predict exactly what we're aiming for. And we believe in this, and that's why we have to prepare for this. Because ultimately what that means is that the experience skyrockets, because what we actually want as a user is a system that can really read our brains. And only once we achieve this level of an AI level 5 experience, we are there. But that comes with a drawback for us as a design studio that focuses a lot on visual design. It means that the real estate, the screen real estate we need to create our experiences is really significantly dropping because the AI, the voice assist, the avatar is going to be the main interface for the customer. On top of that, there's a couple of key findings we want to bring in here today. And the first one, it's kind of a thesis, I would call it, is that the experience really is key to monetize the relationship. So only if you create an immersive experience for a customer and you're building up a strong relationship with the customer is when you create successful products, because the customer will stick to it. It will be an immersive experience and it will be a long-lasting experience. And even more important, it's about an emotional bond. This relationship, as human beings having relationships with each other, is all about emotionality and creating those strong ties. And this is why we believe, that in the end, the experience becomes the brand, but that's not actually the end of the end, because we also believe that one day the AI will become the brand. I'm now handing over to Philip, my colleague, who's guiding you through our research and the outcome up to this day. See you in a minute.
Thank you very much, Florian, for the introduction. On our mission to humanize AIs, we set out to first break down the human communication into building blocks, which we then can use to create a variety of AI personalities to fit each brand with a suitable AI. So for this approach, we looked first at the first axiom of communication theory by Paul Watzlawick, which states that one cannot not communicate. Every form of behavior is communication and vice versa. And we are communicating with our environment on 3 channels. The verbal channel, which is the use of sound to form words that we use to convey the content of a conversation. It's what we would write down to keep the information of a conversation. The second one is the paraverbal channel. This contains all the different nuances of human voice that we use to convey a multitude of information and feelings. You can think of music notation as an example, which describes what art we would reuse there. And the nonverbal channel, which describes the methods and ways how humans use their bodies to communicate with others. And this is what we will focus on for the emotion library. As we focus on humanizing AIs with motion, we took a closer look at this and deconstructed it further. Although in this example given, the 2 conversation partners are undoubtedly using verbal and paraverbal communication as well, we can identify 3 distinct building blocks of nonverbal communication. The state of the conversation. This is the body language of the conversation partners, which tells the others clearly which part everyone is taking at the moment. It is also used to communicate the ability of interacting. Think of waiting relaxed and being approachable versus intense thinking. The second part are the emotions. They are indispensable for truly human connections and experiences. We are masters of reading them, and our bodies usually reflect our sensitivities unobstructed to our environment. The third part we call moments. In conversations, we also use known gestures, which are rooted in our cultures and also can differ between them to react to external events, like rolling our eyes, showing a thumbs up, or yawning. With those 3 building blocks of nonverbal communication, we are able to replicate the motion behavior in human communication. Therefore, we arrange them in 2 motion layers. The first layer is context-specific and takes care of giving the right feedback about the state of the conversation, as well as reacting properly to external events. The second motion layer, lying on top of the first one, is specific to the personality of the system, which is given by the brand. In our search for the bare minimum that is needed to express these emotions, which are characteristic for each of the building blocks, Disney's 12 Principles of Animation came to our minds. In the book, The Illusion of Life, published in 1981 by former Disney animators, they demonstrate how to show character and personality with simple shapes. So if we can transport personality with the basic minimum of animation parameters that simple shapes offer to us, like position, scale, rotation, and appearance parameters, we can design impactful AIs even without human extensions like eyes, hands, or even a body. So we studied the motion characteristics of emotions, moments, and states via applying our motion studies directly to a simple cube to get the real essence of the movement. We collected those and created our motion library out of it, which we use in a tool to combine all the different building blocks in all the different possible variations. So for example, a happy idling state, we had to look at the waiting moment, at the waiting behavior of humans, where we found that they are usually looking to the sides. With the joy, the characteristic movement for joy, which is usually a up and down movement. And we put everything together in our experiment tool where we can recreate all those states and experiment with the intensity of the emotions. So this allows us to explore with different personalities for different parts in the conversation. It's very easy to imagine how a more playful brand would tune up this joyful slider and how a more serious brand would make it more neutral. I'm already at the end of our talk. There's a lot more to explore. We try to push that and make it accessible to the public. Thank you very much for now, and hear you later.
Ja, Frau Preuß, vielen Dank für den Workshop. Ich glaube, es hat viel Spaß gemacht. Ich habe da auch ein bisschen mitverfolgt, was passiert ist. Und ich habe auch im Chat gesehen, dass es auch den Teilnehmern Spaß gemacht hat. Das ist auch etwas, was ich in den letzten Wochen und Monaten auch immer wahrgenommen habe. Nämlich, dass man solche neuen Tools ausprobieren kann. Und die Teilnehmer auch wirklich begeistert sind, das auch mal zu nutzen und auch mal neue Arten der Zusammenarbeit, auch der Kollaboration zu sehen, über die man sonst vielleicht nie gestolpert wäre. Und in dem Kontext, wo wir uns aktuell jetzt befinden, ist das eigentlich ganz super, Dinge mitzunehmen und dann auch vielleicht wieder in eine Zeit mit reinzunehmen, wo es auch möglich ist, sich in Präsenz zu treffen, um dann das Beste aus beiden Welten vielleicht auch in Zukunft dann auch parat zu haben und auch zu können, weil diese kollaborative Zusammenarbeit, sie geht mit Kleingruppen auf jeden Fall super gut, auch in Präsenz, wenn es größere Gruppen sind und man auch wirklich diese Aktivität und diese Aktivierung sehen möchte, dann ist natürlich ein Miroboard eine super tolle Idee, um gleichzeitig 20, 30, 40 oder noch mehr an einer Idee, an einem großen Ganzen in irgendeiner Form auch arbeiten zu lassen. Wunderbar, vielen Dank nochmal auch für das Angebot, diesen Workshop hier zu leiten. Dank auch an Philipp, der den zweiten Workshop geleitet hat zu Human-Centered Explainable AI. Auch dort habe ich mal reingeschnuppert und mal geschaut, was der Workshop zum Ziel hatte. Ich glaube, auch da waren ganz interessante Diskussionen und übrigens hat auch dieser Workshop mit einem Miroboard gearbeitet, um einfach Ideen zu sammeln in Kleingruppen. Gut, ja, wir sind wieder zurück im Auditorium. Auch die Teilnehmer der zweiten Workshop-Gruppe haben uns inzwischen wieder gejoint, wenn ich das mal so sagen darf. Wir kommen nun zum zweiten Vortragsblock. Im zweiten Vortragsblock hören wir zwei Präsentationen, zwei Vorträge. Teaching for a Brighter Human-Centered AI Future ist der erste Vortrag. Und ich würde auch hier wiederum für die Vorstellung entsprechend nach Englisch wechseln, weil insbesondere hier dann auch die Sprecher aus Argentinien dabei sind. Ich kann die leider nicht in Spanisch begrüßen, aber Englisch sollte auch passen. So welcome to the second presentation session. We will hear two talks. The first is entitled Teaching for a Brighter Human-Centered AI Future. The speakers are Mercedes Lara, Andrea Melle and Francisco Valdez. Mercedes Lara is a UX manager and lead professor with more than 10 years of experience focusing on constantly promoting the classroom as an innovation space. Andrea Melle is professor, UXD leader, keynote speaker, and Argentine ambassador for Mujeres en UX, champion her belief in inclusion as a fundamental growth enabler. And finally, Francisco Valdez is a lead professor, UXD leader, and researcher, always in the look for moving education and design forward and further connected. Together, these three lead UX labs, an academic initiative focused on promoting user experience design education with a learn by doing philosophy. And as said earlier in the introduction, we are currently working on a joint double degree master UXD program Just this week we had the kick-off workshops, this time also remotely, but it was very fruitful. And we hope to see the program installed and initiated in 2022. After this presentation, Philip will give another talk about chatbot handover experience, tell me more, transparency and time fillers to optimize the chatbot handover experience will be the title. Philip is a postdoctoral researcher at the Charisma Institute of Automated Driving at Technische Hochschule Ingolstadt. He obtained his PhD degree in engineering sciences from the Johannes Kepler University Linz in 2020 and specializing human-computer interaction and human-machine cooperation. His publication, and he has a lot, focus on trust in automation, algorithm transparency, as well as UX and acceptance of automated driving. He received, not he personally, but his publications have received several awards in the past few years. Okay, so having said this, let's start with the presentations, and I wish you much fun.
I'm Andrea. I'm here with Francisco and Mercedes. We are teachers from the University of Buenos Aires, and we are really thankful for being at this event. So when we thought about the subject of our talk, we remembered that we became designers to innovate. As Dieter Rams said in his Good Design Principles, good design is innovative. So with that in mind, we remember that it's not only innovative and technological, it's also human-centered. Now, as professors, we need to teach how to innovate responsibly and to be fair with our future users. If you are thinking a project involving AI, Google says we should ask these questions. Does your product use data such as race, skin color, religion, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, income, country, location, health, language, or dialect? What data was excluded, if any? Who collected the data? Who labeled it? And what information did they have? Could your use case or product exclude anyone from your audience based on irrelevant criteria? Does your training data represent the diversity of your user base? While interesting, we feel these questions are too technical and focus on the solution instead of the problem. The lack of a traditional interface makes it too easy to separate AI from the user experience. But this would be a mistake. As Jacob Nielsen said, don't assume that just because it's AI, it doesn't need UI, design, or usability work. On the contrary, our work needs to be even more rigorous and more intentional. So, what are project and experience-based questions? First of all, why? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The soul, the meaning of it, it's really important. This is a quote from Simon Sinek, and we think it's relevant in this case, because if you have a mission statement that is correct, you have the power to create different experiences, no matter what interface you are using. For example, this one by Goldblocks, they wanted to correct the gender imbalance in engineering. They came out with a line of toys for little girls. They could come out with another projects like teaching experiences or everything that you can imagine to correct the gender imbalance. It's broad, but it's super focused at the same time. What is the outcome we want the project to have? What is the impact on the users? This is one of the questions that is key to pre-plan your project. How are you going to measure and define the success? How are we going to say, okay, we made it clear? How? We have to pre-construct these measurements to define the success. With that outcome in mind, is AI the right solution?
We know AI is powerful. In fact, we have seen many examples of this in the last couple of years. In 2012, Facebook did experiments on most of its users, testing how they would react to negative and positive posts. As manipulative as that sound, actually proved that when users saw negative posts constantly, it had an effect on their mood. This is an example of how powerful and how hidden can the effects of an AI be on people. Also, the rise of deepfakes, powered by strong image processing AI, has really set a dent on how reliable media content is on the internet. So we know it's powerful. The question is, how can we harness this power and build products that are actually reliable and constructive for the world? Again, we believe that the key question here is why. Those who start with why never manipulate, they actually inspire. And we believe this is critical not only in products that are going out to the real world, in the real market, but also in our classrooms. We have the huge responsibility to teach those who will be in charge of designing the future. So we should take their responsibility seriously and start questioning their projects from the day one. So we believe these questions should be present in every classroom regarding AI. Why are we doing the project? What is the expected outcome of it? How are we going to measure and actually define success for each project? Is really AI the best solution for the desired outcome? Which assumptions define our starting point? Assumptions are tricky because if we don't identify them, we run into the risk of building biases into our products. We have seen many examples of these in security systems which fail to recognize people properly with race or even gender bias. So what do you think of all this? Have you worked with AI, either being a teacher or being a student? Do you think there are other critical questions that we should be considering? Have you worked in a project that which have ended differently? We'll be present in the Q&A section and we hope to see you there. Until then, we thank you very much for the opportunity of sharing this information with you, and we hope it has been constructive. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you all here. Thank you. Welcome to our presentation on our paper, Tell Me More, Transparency and Time Fillers to Optimize Chatbots Waiting Time Experience by Philipp Wintersberger, Tobias Klotz and Andreas Riener. This work emerges from a bachelor thesis of Tobias Klotz, and my name is Philipp Wintersberger and I have the honor to present you this work. So let's jump right into the topic. Advances in artificial intelligence and language processing raise the popularity of text-based conversational user interfaces, so-called chatbots. They are becoming increasingly relevant for interface design as they could cover a wide range of tasks in the future, such as learning, education, civic participation, etc. And one important scenario is customer service. The great advantage of chatbots is that they are available 24/7 and they can simultaneously handle multiple conversations to provide assistance, consultation, or information. And this could help companies to raise revenue and customer relations. Customers use chatbots to solve their problems quickly and efficiently. And it should be noted that chatbots should not fully replace human customer service representatives, called CSRs, but they can reduce their workload, studies say up to 40%. However, these chatbots regularly come to so-called conversational breakdowns where they can't help the user anymore, but reduces the service quality. The reasons therefore are, for example, insufficient intent recognition by the underlying software, or that only a small set of functions is provided, which prevents to handle more complex service inquiries. Also, often there is no user-centered design process applied to craft a conversational user experience, and so breakdowns are a very frustrating usability issue. In such cases, the conversation must be transferred to a human CSR, what we call a handover. We define a handover as the redirection of a conversational agent dialogue to a customer service representative of human nature. Here you can see how this situation looks like. So a customer issues a service request to a chatbot, however, that then fails because of a conversational breakdown, potentially because the inquiry was too complex for the chatbot. So the user has to wait for the human CSR to take over the request. Often it is necessary to repeat the initial request until finally the human CSR can solve the issue and provide a solution. So there are multiple stages in this process that could be optimized with better handover experiences. We concentrated mainly on the waiting part, and our main research question was, how can we design optimized chatbot handovers in order to create a positive waiting experience and increase the perceived service quality? From the psychology of time and waiting, we know that waiting experiences are a critical factor for the perception of service quality, which is influenced by waiting time, the waiting environment, waiting costs, and many other factors. Thereby, the subjective perception of the waits is even more important than the waiting time itself. So most of these findings that exist have been obtained in physical waiting environments like waiting at a doctor's office, or in a classical user interface context like loading indicators. Chatbots, they somehow combine aspects of both environments, so we think it's necessary to validate those findings in this new chatbot context. Two concepts have shown to be especially effective in such a situation. The first one is the transparency about the remaining waiting time and the status in the queue to reduce the so-called fear of being forgotten. The others are distractors, or so-called time fillers, that allows the person that is waiting to engage in another activity so that the occupied time feels shorter than the unoccupied time. So we built upon these two concepts and translated them to the chatbot environment. We built different chatbot prototypes using these concepts and compared them to a baseline case that did not manage to wait. You can see the baseline case here. It just tells the user to please wait. The second prototype, the time and queue information prototype, increases transparency by showing the user a rough estimate how much time will be left and how many other users will be handled before. Our third prototype did not provide any transparent information about the wait, but uses the concept of time fillers. The user is actively engaged into a conversation so that the passage of time is perceived to be less conscious. By comparison of the two concepts of time fillers and time and queue information to a baseline chatbot prototype that provides no measures, we investigated three hypotheses. First, about time perception, that these concepts lead to significantly less perceived waiting time, that both concepts lead to significantly higher service quality, and both concepts should lead to significantly better perceived user experience. We compared these three prototypes in a within-subject design lab study with 28 participants, 11 female, 17 male, and a mean age of about 25 years. Each participant experienced all three chatbot prototypes in randomized order. First, the participant got a service inquiry to be solved. Those were the tracking of an unsent package, the inquiring a bulk discount, and the prolongation information of an expired voucher. After shortly chatting with the chatbots, after 2 responses, the conversation broke down and the participant had to wait 183 seconds. This time was determined based on a pre-studies that we did. After these 183 seconds, a simulated human CSR responded and the trial ended. Then participants had to state the estimated waiting time, how long did the wait last in their subjective perception, and they had to fill out different standardized questionnaires like the time experience questionnaire, another questionnaire addressing the service quality, and finally user experience was assessed with the needs scale and the positive negative effect schedule. Let's come to the results. Regarding time perception, we could see a significantly less perceived waiting time for both concepts of time queue info and time fillers compared to the baseline. However, time fillers additionally led to significantly less conscious waits. When it comes to service quality, time fillers led to significantly more satisfaction and pleasantness, while both concepts improved the service quality and the acceptance of the wait compared to the baseline condition of the unmanaged handover. Similar with the need and PANAS, the time fillers made participants feel most autonomous and stimulated, and also led to the highest positive effect. To summarize, both concepts of time and queue information and time fillers significantly reduced the perceived waiting time and improved the perceived service quality and acceptance of waits. In addition, time fillers made the wait feel least conscious and also showed highest user satisfaction and user experience. In this sense, time fillers may be even more important than features providing transparency only, as they provide a unique touch point to inform the user about a business, what could lead to stronger customer relationships. We suggest to implement both of these features in chatbots, and we distinguish them only in our experiment to be able to isolate the effects. Given that the field of chatbot handovers is currently relatively unexplored, our results may help designers to build better services in the future. And now, I want to thank you for watching and look forward to the discussion.
Wir sind jetzt quasi am Ende angekommen des heutigen virtuellen World Usability Days. Ich möchte die Gelegenheit noch ganz kurz nutzen, um einen Hinweis auf eine Veranstaltung zu geben, die nächste Woche stattfindet, morgen in einer Woche, das Zukunftsforum Mobilität. Ein kurzer Teaser dazu jetzt noch zum Abschluss.
Wie sieht die Mobilität der Zukunft aus? Wie werden wir uns fortbewegen? Welche Chancen bieten technische Innovationen? Die Antworten liefert das Zukunftsforum Mobilität. In Fachvorträgen und Science Slams zeigen Experten die Zukunft. Automatisiertes Fahren, künstliche Intelligenz, Smart City und vieles mehr. Zukunftsforum Mobilität am 20. November 2020 von 13 bis 18 Uhr online. Jetzt anmelden unter thi.de/go/zugmob.
Ja, würde mich freuen, den einen oder anderen auch dort wieder zu sehen bei dieser Veranstaltung. Wirklich interessante Vorträge, Science Slam zu automatisierten Fahren, zu künstlicher Intelligenz, nachhaltiger Mobilität, Smart City und noch vieles, vieles mehr. Gut, damit sind wir tatsächlich am Ende angelangt. World Usability Day 2020. Der 4. an der THI, der erste virtuell. Ich hoffe, es ist der letzte. Wir können uns nächstes Jahr wieder in Präsenz wie gewohnt treffen am Campus mit Abschlussarbeiten von UXD-Studierenden, mit Projektarbeiten, mit Unternehmensständen, mit Interaktion 1:1 und gemeinsam mit Laborführungen. lasst uns hoffen auf eine bessere Zukunft, ein gemeinsames 2021. Ich darf mich bedanken für die Aufmerksamkeit, für die Teilnahme und schließe damit den World Usability Day 2020 an der THI ab. Also wer möchte, kann natürlich jetzt gerne noch im Raum bleiben und auch Kamera und Mikro einschalten und ein bisschen socialisen.